Okay, September the 25th is today, and today is Rosh Hashanah, that is the Jewish New Year, and today is also a powerful day as it's just one day prior to Jupiter's closest approach to Earth in 59 years, since 1963, and also on top of that it is the last day today of the first half of the Mayan calendar. So today, September the 25th, is a day of ending, that's what it seems, and at the same time a day of new beginnings. An interesting detail there is that the Jewish New Year doesn't start before sunset. So we just entered that time around where I live here, as the sunset moves over the planet in 24 hours. So in every location the New Year begins at a different time, very similar to the 1st of January naturally, where it's midnight. In the Jewish New Year it's the sunset which starts the beginning, which is a very interesting point to start with, as the first half in that sense of every day is ruled by darkness. The sun under the horizon, something to think about. Anyway, but that's another story. So today also is the last day of this 10th of 20 13-day cycles, which started here with one Etznab. That was, let me just look it up, I have it written down here. That began on August the 31st. Or am I right? No, that can't be right. It was September the 12th, right? September the 12th it was. Where we were. Okay, I'm getting confused, sorry. September the 12th was one Etznab. And the whole 52-day region here, that central one, which is the third of 5 castles, and that is these are really interesting and super intriguing subdivisions of the calendar. This is the third castle, which is the blue western castle of transformation. It's the central part is about transformation, and we are now 2 phases in, 2 out of 4, so we are in the center of this 52-day period of transformation today, the 25th of September. Starting tomorrow, the 26th, with Jupiter's closest approach to Earth in 59 years, we are starting one Chuen, which is the blue magnetic monkey, which carries the energy of play, illusion, vision, ideas. It's that basic playfulness which is the underlying signature of this universe, you could say. Lila, as they call it in Hindu tradition. Life is a dance, life is a song. I mean, yeah, it will definitely get better considering what kind of popular music there is right now prevalent. Then you can see also the resonance there. The music is terrible, times are terrible, the music gets better, times are better, and this is on an individual level very much so as on a collective. Anyway, that's another story. And tomorrow we're getting into this really powerful 11th 13-day cycle. We were building up to that point here since September the 12th on this final leg of the first part, which is Snap the Mirror, which is a transformational period, a very powerful period of introspection, of reflection, and of going to places you haven't gone before. It is going to the cliff, going to the edge of what reality is. And that's what we have been definitely doing in these past 13 days. And we have reached, at least I can speak for myself and for what I feel on a very general level, as I'm very sensitive to energies overall, naturally, as you can tell. So what I feel is a general relaxation. We have come really far since the beginning of 2020, when everybody was pushed into fear and panic almost, and this has really calmed down over time. We have become more realistic, and in that sense also from the tail end more realistic. There's deep realizations which are going on as we speak, as I'm not speaking any real prophecies here. This is obvious. I'm just stating the obvious. So astrology has really proven in the last 2-3 years to exactly deliver what we predicted. Naturally, the language, how you put it, particularly if we get into very particular expressions of energies, then we might be off a little bit. But if you look at the underlying symbology and what planets mean energetically, then everything is exactly playing out as we could have expected. So, having said that, we have reached a point of relaxation and we're ready for a big new beginning with that one Chuen energy, that interesting coincidence of the Jewish New Year. I show you here. This is, I posted that on my Celestial Rhythms Astrology Facebook page. That's where I keep still posting, so you're most welcome. If you're still on Facebook, please join. So Rosh Hashanah, literally translating to head of the year. I got it out of the internet naturally, and I gave you the link here in case you're wanting to read more about it. So this is year 5782. We are entering in the Jewish tradition. Note that this adds up to a 22, which in itself, if you know a little bit about numerology, is a super powerful number. It is the final number of the 22 arcanas, great arcanas in the tarot. Naturally, there's no 22, it's the 0 really. So the 0 and the 22 being two numbers of completion, it's really the Ouroboros, the snake biting its tail. It's that critical link where old and new come together. 22 is the number of two sunspot cycles in a row, and there's always one where the sun's polarity is north-south, and then every 11 years that switches south-north. So it takes 22 years to get back to the same configuration of magnetic fields from the sun, which is super, super critical, which is really showing the big cycle of solar energy changing. So this is brings me to this picture quickly. Yes, this is from the Space Weather page, which this is my home page. I'm always interested what's going on in the sun, and here you get the most direct and immediate information, particularly here on the side. Here you have all these links, particularly here. This is the one I'm clicking on most, which shows you the present update of the X-ray energy emissions from the sun, where you see the flares. So here, for example, we had that M1.7 flare on the 23rd, which I will get back to, because this is a super important event. This was the biggest flare on that day, exactly 1.7 in magnitude, on that critical first day of the fall season. And you can see there hasn't been nothing of that sort in the last 48 hours. If we go back to the main page here, I just want to also show you solar wind data you can get out of here too. You just have to scroll down a little bit. There's lots of really interesting links here. Here is the auroric oval. Anyway, just wanted to show that. Also here you learn about Jupiter's close encounter with Jupiter, with Earth. And if you're a stargazer here, you can get information of where to look at the sky, or how Jupiter looks. I mean, yeah, it's a great educational site. So let me go now to astrology here, and I wanted to start you off with, let me see, with this story, right? Libra ingress of the Sun. That was the beginning of this second half of the new year. Just wanted to run by this synchronicity, which gives you an idea of the charge this moment had, because it perfectly mirrors this chart's energy, not in a most direct way, but that was the heliocentric Jupiter-Neptune conjunction on June the 6th, which was a 666 day. So this in itself was a powerful day, and we had at the root of this chart, where we get nourishment from the Earth, 9 degrees 37 Leo, and that is the ascendant of this Libra ingress chart, 919, 937. You see it's extremely close. It's the same degree in symbology in that sense. And again, I like to just quickly read you what it says on that 10th degree of Leo here. Just bear with me. Early morning, dew sparkles as sunlight floods the field. Yes, we looked at that in my last video. I remember, you see, I have not a really good memory either. I never know what I said. Sometimes I do remember. Anyway, it's the exalted feeling that rises within the soul of the individual who has successfully passed through the long night, which has tested his strength and his faith. We definitely have arrived at that point this year. And the first time this became clear, that was in June. I can totally underwrite that, totally agree to this notion in retrospect. Yes, because we're always right in the middle of the picture. In that sense, we're in the picture, which I often like to emphasize. Just think of a picture on the wall which you're looking at. If you were just a dot of paint on that picture, you wouldn't be able to really see what that picture is looking like. It really needs that distance, which we also get through history, through the time passing. Naturally, if you were someone with activated higher perception of reality, if you can really move out of the picture and raise above it and look from the top of, compare it to Eiffel Tower, and you see whole of Paris. at the top of the pyramid. That's kind of what the position of the astrologer is, because I'm really taking you to that place of overview where you see the energies from far above. Naturally, the detail is then very often, it can't be seen because you're really seeing the bigger picture, but that is what matters. The finer details, they will fall in place accordingly. It's always a matter of fractals. So if we see the big picture, then we can safely assume that the fractal down to the individual experience of every being will be similar. Anyway, this was a very, very beautiful chart. Just to stay with this for a minute. This is when Jupiter and Neptune were exactly at the same place as seen from the Sun. That was again on June the 6th. And just look at Venus here, right at the top of the chart. The little stain here is this Nessus, which is in conjunction with Venus. Nessus is a pathological energy which we are dealing with, which we are actually transforming in this present time and age. We're able to receive that rock which is thrown at us in a literal way, and to embrace it, and then to play it back in a compassionate way. That's what we are doing. That is kind of what this symbolizes here in Pisces. Very nice that Venus in the first place was in Pisces when Jupiter and Neptune started their new 13-year cycle. A very, very powerful moment. That was actually the only one time in 160 years that the two planets meet each other in their own sign. That's really important to emphasize that. Pisces is ruled by Jupiter traditionally, and as Neptune was discovered, Neptune was recognized as being the over-ruler in that sense of that sign, but Jupiter is the traditionally ruler. Sorry, I have a little bit of a... Anyway. Too much talking. Anyway, so let's go back now. So you see, this is the background energy which we are having to take in account. And this is now the lens it is shining through. Actually, see again, it is that fire from within, you could call it, which is now coming to the horizon, which is now rising, literally. This is the moment of sunrise, the eastern horizon, the ascendant. That is where, literally speaking, the sky grows out of the earth. That's the perception. If you at night watch, for example, the moon rising and the stars rising, you see, that's the perception you get. And this is very important. A meeting point is the point of revelations, you could also say, where new things come into sight. So that's why the ascendant is so super powerful in every chart. Again, I want to refer to Jacqueline Hobbs, Oracle Girl, bringing in the concept of quadrality. I like that a lot. It resonates with astrology a lot, as we deal with the 4 different angles, the cross in actually the Earth's symbol. You have it here. That is the Earth symbol. So traditionally we have that concept already. It's a revival in that sense with looking at it that way, that all 4 directions matter. It's not a dual principle. It's way bigger than that. It's the power brought into manifestation. I guess that's the most simple way to say it. So anyway, now let's forge off from this chart. I just want to put some emphasis on this moon's degree here. When the sun entered Libra, when that second half of this year began, which is really now starting to meld together what we individually developed within these last 6 months in the that individualization process, which started the spring equinox, that last chapter of individuation, each and everyone, and we all went through big developments and evolutions. I mean, it's literally true that time is speeding up. Experiences get compressed into shorter and shorter periods of time. That's what it really is. That's the which I often compare to that white water after a waterfall, where the water is rushing ever faster and jumping over stones and rocks and spraying and having that celebratory enthusiasm of something's happening. So that's kind of the energy we also get from this chart in big ways, with this moon in Leo, in that final part of Leo, the last 5 degrees, which are hexagram 29, danger, is water above and water below in the Chinese hexagram. So this is literally that same image of going through a gorge, everything is pressed through a bottleneck, and there is danger. You have to be extremely careful. The currents are wild, and there's eddies and swirls and rocks we have to get out of the way of. So you have to be extremely vigilant in such energy. And with Ceres here, Earth Goddess, this is a truly beautiful companionship we have here. We get literally nourished by Earth, by what Jacqueline Hobbs calls the nature's principles. That's what Ceres represents. It's that Earth Goddess, the energy which nourishes us, which includes us in the bigger picture, in that bigger cycle of birth and just helping each other, birth and death, you could say. It's that full cycle, everything nourishing everything else, the food chain and whatnot. So all this, and at the cusp of the second house, how beautiful is that? It's really bringing this Leo energy into the Taurus manifestation. Now, what I really liked is that moon's degree in reference to the next chart, which I want to show you, which is the Makemake Salasya opposition number 13 for Tehran, Iran. That was on September the 13th, 2022. As you probably remember, those of you who are following my videos, Makemake Salasya, they have 35 oppositions between 2016 till 2033, which, as I see it more and more clearly, is that window of great transformation, of us challenging the system and rebuilding it from within. Salasya is the joy of involving ourselves in life, and Salasya is in here she is, 754. It's a little difficult to read, goes back to here. There's so much happening here, conjunct Jupiter, and here everything else. Anyway, so Salasya is in Aries since 2018, or actually pretty much simultaneously, I think also 2016, 17 around. And at the same time, Makemake, named after that Easter Island deity of creation, Makemake is very much physical. The creation, it's about manifestation. Maki also is a daredevil and ready to put in the full weight. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's only one way forward. That's kind of Maki's energy. I like to tell this story again because it really encapsulates the spirit of this energy, of this planet's energy. In honor of that god Maki, every year there was a ritual. All the strong young men were competing, swimming through shark-infested and wild current ocean waters to that neighboring island to retrieve the first egg of that seabird, which would nest only in that location. And the one man who brought back that first egg from that new season, he was chosen to be the shaman of the year. I like that concept, that you get elevated by being daring, by risking your life literally to get that honor of then being chosen as the medium, the one who stands with one leg in this reality, with the other in the other. That is kind of the position of the shaman. Now, this opposition, as I say, this is super important. It will be heliocentrically exact in 2025. I definitely will do a video about that one sometime in the near future when I have time. Because the heliocentric opposition, because as seen from the sun, everything moves only in one direction, only forward, whereas from Earth's point of view, we are kind of like a pendulum swinging around, and we think it's the others which are moving, but it's really our movement which causes that kind of illusion. But that's what astrology is about. It's all about our perception, our perspective, from where we are looking at reality, which matters. It's earthbound. We have to work with the earth coordinates. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. That's why tropical Western astrology, in my opinion, seems to work much, much better. Gives really very exact information. And you see what I mean by exact. Look now at where let me first say this. So every 6 months or so, there's a new opposition of the two. They come exact again. They kind of wave around that point. So this most recent opposition was, as I say, September the 13th, which would open the next chapter of how they interact, how they will express themselves. Now, I came to draw this chart for Tehran after I learned that a revolution is starting there. Let me show you. That is what I found. Okay, yes. So this, I posted this on the 23rd. After already there were a couple other posts, not in this newsfeed, in my personal one. That was after in the big news was that women were burning their hijab, their face covering, and taking down the revolutionary flag, which is a crime punishable by death. So we have to see how daring these people are to finally stand up after whatever 43 years or so of that extreme oppression by extremists. So finally, people started standing up, and meanwhile, by the 23rd, the protest has now expanded to 133 cities in all 31 provinces of Iran. So we don't hear much about it as naturally what we call the news. Is not really the news as we know. This is more a propaganda channel for what they want people to be fed with. It's really the same chunk as you get when you go to the main grocery stores. Out of, let's say, 15 or 20 aisles, 14 are garbage. Now they started, you have to find you're really specific in what you buy. There's so little. That's the same with information, I find. And again, this all goes back to a series of how we nourish ourselves. So there's lots going on in that department. So anyway, let me now go back to astrology to make my point. Look at the degree of this power axis, of the midheaven axis, where this energy wants to go, expressing itself, that creation energy of Salacia, of joy and of creation, and going into totally new directions. Now, what really stands out, and I mentioned that on multiple occasions already, and which I can't really say enough, is that present activation of Maki Maki and Salacia here on the other end by Jupiter on one end and Mercury on the other for 6 weeks, more or less, since something like, I guess, mid-August till the end of September, something like that, or even longer, or I guess till almost mid-October, Mercury will still be in this range, activating the two. So, okay, please stay with me. It's so much to really put into this picture to see the magnitude of what this means. So look at this moment, 36, and here we go back to the Libra ingress of the Sun, the beginning of this new half year, the Moon and Ceres exactly at this place, at the second house. It seems Iran is playing a critical role of really awakening a worldwide revolution. That's what it looks like when we analyze this chart more closely. Look with Uranus here, right on at the 7th house cusp. I mean, you can't make these things up. The only thing is you can't see it ahead of time. There's too many places on this planet, too many ways to look at things. Yes, generally in a bigger picture, and that's what I have been talking about for a long time. We are in this process of really breaking free. It's a matter of time, and their days are numbered. That is very, very clear from where I am looking, again, from that elevated perspective, which I try to share with you. Anyway, this chart in itself is a jewel with Venus and the Sun here in the 10th house. This is definitely about reinstating Venus, the power of women, but much more than that. It is social responsibility, and it is working together as a team and being in support of one another with the realistic energy of Capricorn here between 10 and 12:30. That is the Capricorn dwad. That's the fractal subdivision of each sign, 2.5 degrees for each sign consequence. 2.5. The 2.5 first ones always are double, so this is Virgo, and so on. And the Sun here, by the way, in the Taurian dwad, so we have the full triad of earth signs which are here working together. Very beautiful. I'm not even mentioning Therois, which brings in that natural instinct of standing up for the weak ones. That's Mother Bear's energy, having that fierce approach to anyone who could think of even coming close to her cups. Anyway, I could go on forever here. This is my first video, and look for the next one. I want to keep them shorter and give them each a more specific theme. So thank you, and if you like that, give it whatever, a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe. Thank you.